Kitchener stitch is a way of grafting stitches together. So this happens a lot on the toes of socks. You might find it on sweaters or other patterns. This is what the finished Kitchener stitch looks like. You can't even see it. It makes a perfect seamless join between sections of the fabric. Here's how you do it. First, you need to break your yarn. I usually break my yarn and leave a tail about 4 times the length of the stitches that I'm going to be grafting. So this is more than enough. So always get more than enough yarn. And to prepare the Kitchener stitch, you want the wrong sides, the purl bumps of stockinette stitch kissing each other. So on the outside, you're looking at the smooth stockinette stitch. You have half the stitches on the back needle and half the stitches on the front needle, with the needle tips pointing to the right. To set up Kitchener stitch, go through the front stitch, the first stitch on the front needle, purlwise, and leave it on the needle. Then go through that back needle, that first stitch on the back needle, knitwise, and leave it on. Notice how my yarn is not crisscrossing between the needles. The yarn is always just below the needles. Okay, now we're going to graft. Go through the first stitch on the front needle knitwise, off. And then go through the next front needle stitch purlwise, leave it on. The back needle, we're going to go purlwise off. Pull that yarn and give it a little tug, not too tight, not too loose. And then go through the next back needle stitch, knitwise, leave it on. All right, let's repeat that. We're going to go knitwise off, purlwise on. Purlwise off, knitwise, leave it on. Okay, front needle, always knit. Knitwise off. Purlwise, leave it on. Back needle, purlwise off. Knitwise, leave it on. Front needle, knitwise off, purlwise on. Back needle, purlwise off, knitwise, leave it on. Notice how you don't have to pull the yarn after every single stitch. I usually go knitwise off, and then I go straight into that purlwise, leave it on, and then pull my yarn. Back needle, purlwise off, knitwise, leave that stitch on the needle. And look at that, we're getting a nice graft. And just take a look at your fabric, and does it look puckered? Does it look holey and sloppy? If you're seeing a lot of space between the stitches, then you need to pull your yarn tighter. If it looks like really tight and cinched and puckered, then you need to relax and not pull too tight. So just have like an even tension, not too tight, not too loose. Knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on. So keep on doing that until you reach the last stitches. Knit off, purl off, knit on. I'm reaching the end of the grafting, so I have 2 stitches left on each needle. So I go through that front needle knitwise off, purlwise, leave it on, and the back needle purlwise off, and knitwise, leave it on. There's 1 stitch remaining on each needle, so go through that front needle stitch knitwise, take it off, and the back needle, go purlwise, take it off. And that's finished. This is what the Kitchener stitch looks like. And if it looks too loose to you, you can go ahead and tug on the stitches, pull on those loose stitches to tighten them up to give you a little bit more tight tension. And then you just have to weave in that end. So when I'm done with the toes of my socks, I usually just poke my needle through the corner of my toe so that I get that strand of yarn on the inside, and then I can weave it in. And when I weave in my stitch on the inside, I usually just whip stitch through the purl bumps. So I usually just take my tapestry needle and go through like 8 or 10 stitches on the wrong side like this. And then cut your yarn, weave in your ends, and that's usually the end of your project. So this is what the finished Kitchener stitch looks like. I love it. It's so finished and clean and has a nice stretch to it. so you don't have a visible bind off or seam line there. So thanks for watching, and if you like this tutorial, feel free to watch some other videos on my channel, and you can subscribe to my channel to get notifications of when I have new tutorials, new patterns, and new episodes of my YouTube channel. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.